I've always been fascinated by how the built environment affects human behavior, and nothing says, "Don't come here," like this. And don't even think about trying to cross this 16-lane highway on foot. And the only way you're getting out of this neighborhood alive is in a car. The built environment provides the conditions for communities to either thrive, or it can create the conditions for poverty, isolation, and poor health. Over the past 60 years, we as a country have developed in a way that has prioritized cars over people. And as a result, we've created a whole lot of underperforming asphalt. As my fellow TEDxAtlanta speaker, Ellen Dunham-Jones, describes it. Underperforming asphalt is simply the underutilization of surface parking lots in the suburbs. It's estimated that for every single car in the United States, there are 3 surface parking spaces for it. And that doesn't even include your driveway, your garage, or the thousands of parking decks across the country. So how did we get here? It all started with Levittown. Built from 1947 to 1951, Levittown was the archetype for suburban development in the United States. It was built by William Levitt and his family on Long Island to provide affordable housing for returning GIs and their growing families. Levittown was marketed as the new ideal way of American life, and it was incredibly successful. So successful, in fact, that they built one in Pennsylvania, one in New Jersey, and one in Puerto Rico. And there were thousands of other residential subdivisions like it built across the country. There were policies implemented at the federal level that allowed for this suburban development, including inexpensive mortgages made available by the Veterans Administration and the Federal Housing Administration that made the purchase of these new homes available, as well as the construction of the Eisenhower Interstate Highway System, which made these previously inaccessible places easily accessible by car. This set the foundation for suburban growth in the United States. And as people began to move to the suburbs, retailers, employers, churches, schools, they all followed suit. And what resulted is what we describe today as suburban sprawl. The defining characteristic of suburban sprawl is the segregation of uses. So you have office parks, shopping centers, residential subdivisions, and civic institutions, each surrounded by its own surface parking and connected by a road, making it very difficult to get around by means other than a car. And I have to agree with Jeff Speck when he said that the worst idea we've ever had as a country is suburban sprawl, the reorganization of the landscape around automobile use. There are a number of negative side effects of this development pattern, including income mobility. Today in Atlanta, if you are in the bottom 5th percentile of incomes, you only have a 4% chance of making it to the top 5th percentile. This is the lowest income mobility of the 30 most populated cities in the country. And the reason that it's so bad here in Atlanta is our concentrated poverty, our traffic congestion, and our weak regional public transportation system. Suburban sprawl also is directly correlated with a number of health impacts, including increased rates of heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. Of course, there's environmental degradation, including poor air quality and the depletion of fossil fuels. And then lastly, it results in a poor quality of life. When you spend hours a day sitting in your car commuting, it's not only stressful, but it takes time away from your family and friends. And as Robert Putnam explored in Bowling Alone, it also serves to disconnect us from our family, our friends, our neighbors, and our democratic institutions. Today, we are finally starting to experience and recognize these negative side effects, and people are increasingly looking for something different, a different way of life, and returning to city centers. This is particularly true for millennials. Millennials, born somewhere between 1983 and 2000, are the largest generation in the United States. In 2009, they drove 23% fewer miles than they did in 2001. That's the most significant reduction of all age groups. In 2011, 67% of millennials had driver's licenses. That's the lowest rate since 1963. And when polled, millennials would rather give up their car than their cell phone. And these behaviors are being enabled by new mobile technologies such as Uber, Zipcar, and Lyft, which allow for people to live vibrant, connected lives without a car. And we're seeing that as a result, millennials are seeking walkable urban places that allows for them to live without a car. And baby boomers want the same thing. They're choosing to age in place, and as they downsize their home, they're selecting walkable urban places rather than the suburban areas where they raise their children. This drive towards urban, walkable communities is also great for business. Chris Lineberger, in his Wake Up, Walk Up report on Atlanta, found that investment in walkable urban places in Atlanta has increased dramatically over the past 30 years. From 1990 to 2000, investment in these walkable urban places was only 14%. Over the next 8 years, it grew to 26%. And from 2008 to 2013, that number catapulted to 60%. That means that over half of the real estate investment in Atlanta is taking place in less than 1% of the land area. And I have personal experience with this. A couple months ago, I received an invitation from the Georgia Department of Economic Development to participate in a high-profile, top-secret corporate relocation site visit. All we knew about this company going into the process was that it was a Fortune 50 company, they were a household name, and their relocation would result in a net gain to Atlanta of 800 to 1,000 jobs. This was the first time that MARTA had been invited to be at the table for one of these recruitment events. This represented a significant shift in thinking, a significant shift in how MARTA was viewed. We were finally being considered an asset to bring to the table to help attract new companies to Atlanta. A couple months after the site visit, we found out that not only had the company selected Atlanta, but they had chosen a location that was less than a half a mile from our Sandy Springs station. The company is one of the largest luxury auto manufacturers in the world, Mercedes-Benz, a company whose business model is dependent upon the continued use of the automobile. They recognized that in order to be competitive in attracting and retaining employees, they had to be in a transit-accessible area. 5 or 10 years ago, we saw that MARTA accessibility, MARTA proximity was simply a pro forma check the box. Today, we see that mass transit is a very real and important part of the decision-making process. And we're seeing this over and over again. In 2014, Pulte Homes relocated their corporate headquarters from Detroit, Michigan to Atlanta, and the office they selected was immediately adjacent to the Buckhead station. They cited commute times to the office and the airport as important factors in their determining their corporate relocation location. State Farm nationwide is implementing a strategy to consolidate all of their offices into 3 corporate hubs, all of which are transit accessible. In Atlanta, they selected a location immediately adjacent to the Dunwoody station. And not only are they investing millions of dollars into this new headquarters relocation, but they're building a new entrance to the Dunwoody station on their dime so that their employees have optimal access to our service. They cited a desire for their employees to be in a live, work, play environment and a focus on attracting and retaining talent. Kaiser Permanente more recently announced that they're moving to Midtown, citing a desire to be in a walkable community with access to restaurants and shops, as well as close proximity to public transportation. And it seems now that almost every month there's a new corporate relocation decision announced in the paper, and MARTA is cited as a very important part of the search criteria. Larry Gellerstadt with Cousins Properties and the chair of the Metro Atlanta Chamber said, access to public transportation is increasingly important to our customers. So if millennials want more MARTA, and boomers want more MARTA, and big business wants more MARTA, what is holding us back? It's about perception. Atlanta first opened the east-west rail line in 1979. At that point in time, we were way ahead of our peers. But over the past 35 years, we have not kept pace. As you can see here, looking at our peer transit agencies in Dallas, Denver, Seattle, Portland, and Los Angeles, going into the future, if we don't invest in our system, we will fall far behind. People also perceive that nobody rides MARTA, that our stations are empty, barren, unsafe, and dirty. But the reality is that our ridership is strong and growing. From July to September of last year, we experienced an 8% growth in ridership over the previous year. Our system is one of the safest large public transportation systems in the country. We're introducing Wi-Fi into our stations and new technologies to ensure that our stations are clean places, including high-tech restrooms and urine detection devices in our elevators. But the reality is that MARTA was conceived as a suburban transportation system designed around cars. And as a result, we have a lot of empty parking lots. But this also presents a great opportunity. We have over 25,000 parking spaces, of which less than half are used on a regular basis. That's a lot of very well-located, underperforming asphalt. So we've been hard at work over the past 2 years to implement a transit-oriented development initiative that would transform these surface parking lots into vibrant, mixed-use communities designed around people and not cars. We have 5 projects underway right now that we expect will be completed in 3 to 5 years. Once complete, you would be able to walk out of your home in the morning on bike or foot, grab a cup of coffee, get on the train, and experience a road rage-free commute. Or catch a concert next to the MARTA station. Or visit a local gallery during your lunch break. Or experience Sunday brunch with your friends without ever having to get in the car. There are significant benefits to implementing this program for MARTA as well. By concentrating these uses at our stations, we will grow our ridership. By growing our ridership, we will increase our revenue. Through the sale and lease of these properties, we also have an opportunity to increase revenue. We will, in turn, invest this new revenue into our operations so that we can provide better service for our customers. There are a significant number of regional benefits as well, including improved air quality, reduced congestion, improved income mobility, and as we saw before, improved regional competitiveness. And you agree, 71% of Atlantans think that improved public transportation is very important to the future of our region. So this is a really big problem that we face. So big, in fact, that it feels insurmountable. But that's not true. Implementing our transit-oriented development program lays the foundation for our big dream. You remember how we've lagged behind our peer transit agencies over the past 35 years? Well, we have a chance to catch up. We have a chance to dispel the notion that MARTA doesn't go anywhere. And we have a chance to implement a truly regional public transportation system that provides a viable alternative to the car. We have a chance, and we have a plan. On one side of the screen, you see where we are today, and on the other, what our vision is for the future. We have a plan to extend our red line 11 miles from North Spring Station to Windward Parkway in Alpharetta. We have a plan to extend the blue line and the orange line 12 miles east. And we have a plan to implement light rail transit connecting our Lindbergh station to our Avondale station, finally providing rail accessibility to those at the CDC and Emory University. We have a plan, but we need your help in order to make it a reality. We need you to ride MARTA. Give it a chance. It doesn't have to be every day. Take it on your next trip to the airport on your way to vacation. Use it once a week for your commute, or take it downtown next time you're going to a big event. Use it and then tell your friends about it. This is an influential group, and we have the opportunity to really change how people perceive MARTA. With your help, we have the opportunity to create a system that connects people to places that they love, places designed around people. Thank you.